The slam of the locker door cut through the chatter like a gunshot. Theo is gay. The words hung in the air, and within seconds the hallway that had been his second home for 3 years became a battlefield where every eye avoided his. Theo stood frozen, backpack slipping from one shoulder, as the familiar faces he had laughed with since freshman year now stared at the floor or suddenly remembered urgent business in the opposite direction. His best friend since Little League, Jake, who had once defended him from a bully, now walked past without a word, shoulders stiff like he was afraid touching Theo would make the rumor contagious. By lunch, the silence had spread like frost. The cafeteria table where he usually sat with the soccer crowd was suddenly full with no space left, and when he approached, the conversations died mid-sentence. Theo turned away, throat tight, and found an empty corner near the vending machines. He pulled out his phone, pretending to scroll, but the screen blurred. All he could think was how one careless text to a guy he thought he could trust had exploded into this. The rumor had traveled faster than any goal he had ever scored on the field. The rest of the day passed in fragments of avoidance. In biology lab, his partner switched seats without explanation. In English, the girl who had copied his notes for months now refused to meet his eyes. Theo kept his head down, counting minutes until the final bell. When it rang, he practically ran to his car in the student lot, but even their 2 guys from the basketball team lingered by their trucks, watching him with open disgust. He drove home with the radio off, the only sound the pounding of his own heart. His mother was in the kitchen chopping vegetables when he walked in. One look at his face and she set the knife down. "What happened, sweetheart?" Theo tried to speak, but the words stuck. Instead, he handed her his phone, open to the group chat where the screenshot of his private messages had been forwarded to the entire junior class. She read in silence, then pulled him into a hug that smelled of garlic and home. "We'll figure this out." But her voice trembled, and Theo knew she was already imagining the whispers at church, the sideways glances at the grocery store. His father would be home in an hour from the construction site, and Theo could already picture the disappointment in his eyes, the man who had coached every one of his games now forced to confront a truth he had never wanted to name. That night dinner was quiet, forks scraping plates like accusations. His father finally spoke, voice low. "Is it true, son?" Theo nodded, unable to lie anymore. The silence that followed stretched until his mother cleared the table with unnecessary force. Later in his room, Theo stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment he had hidden who he was, the jokes he had forced himself to laugh at, the girls he had pretended to like just to fit in. Sleep came in fits, and when it did, it brought dreams of empty hallways stretching forever. The next morning he almost called in sick, but something stubborn pushed him out the door. At school, the isolation was complete. No one sat with him in homeroom. When the teacher asked for volunteers to present projects, hands shot up everywhere except around him. During passing period, he walked alone, the echo of his footsteps louder than any conversation he used to be part of. By third period, the weight felt unbearable. He slipped into the art room during study hall, hoping for a quiet corner, and found Isaiah sketching at the back table. Isaiah looked up, dark eyes steady. He was the new guy from Chicago who had transferred 2 weeks earlier, tall, with an easy confidence that made him stand out without trying. "Rough day?" he asked, voice calm like he already knew. Theo shrugged, not trusting himself to speak. Isaiah slid a blank sheet of paper across the table. "Draw something. Helps sometimes." Theo picked up a pencil, surprised at how normal the gesture felt. For the first time in 24 hours, someone had spoken to him without fear or pity. They sat in silence, drawing until the bell rang. As Theo stood, Isaiah said quietly, "If you ever want to talk, I'm around." No judgment. Theo managed a nod and left the room, carrying the smallest spark of warmth in a chest that had gone cold. The days blurred into a pattern of endurance. Mornings brought new rumors, afternoon brought more empty seats. His soccer teammates voted to bench him without explanation. The coach pulled him aside, mumbling about team dynamics, but avoided his eyes. At home, his father tried awkward conversations about figuring things out, while his mother baked too many cookies and asked too many questions about his feelings. Theo answered in monosyllables, retreating to his room to study because grades suddenly felt like the only thing he could control. One Friday, after a particularly brutal gym class where no one passed him the ball, Isaiah found him in the parking lot, leaning against his car, fighting tears. "Come on," Isaiah said simply. "I know a place." He drove Theo to a small overlook outside town where the city lights began to flicker on below. They sat on the hood of the car sharing a bag of chips, and for the first time Theo talked. He told Isaiah about the text about Jake's betrayal, about the crushing loneliness of pretending. Isaiah listened without interrupting, then shared his own story of coming out in Chicago and the friends who had stayed. When the sky turned deep indigo, Isaiah said, "You're not alone anymore, Theo. Not if you don't want to be." Theo looked at him, the first real smile in days tugging at his lips. For the first time, the future did not feel entirely dark. The weekend brought no relief. Theo's mother insisted on family dinner with his grandparents, and the tension was thick enough to cut. His grandfather, an old Marine, kept glancing at him like he was trying to solve a puzzle that didn't fit. When the conversation turned to college applications, his grandmother asked brightly, "Any nice girls catching your eye?" Theo's mother changed the subject too quickly. Later in the driveway, his father lit a cigarette, a habit he had quit years ago, and said, "I just want you to be happy, son, but this isn't the life I pictured for you." The words landed like stones in Theo's stomach. He went to bed early, but sleep brought nightmares of being chased through empty school corridors. Monday morning, the principal called him in. Mrs. Ramirez looked uncomfortable behind her desk. "We've had reports of harassment, Theo. If you need to talk to the counselor." Theo shook his head. He knew reporting would only make things worse. Back in the hallway, he found Isaiah waiting by his locker. "Lunch?" Isaiah asked. They ate outside on the bleachers, away from prying eyes, sharing sandwiches and quiet conversation. Isaiah talked about his passion for graphic design, his dream of creating apps that helped kids like them feel seen. Theo listened, mesmerized by the way Isaiah's hands moved when he spoke. For the first time, he felt seen, not as the gay kid, but as Theo, who loved books and soccer and quiet moments like this. The following week brought the first open confrontation. In the cafeteria, Jake and two others cornered him by the soda machine. "You make the whole team look bad," Jake hissed. Theo's heart raced, but he stood straight. "I didn't choose who I am, Jake. You chose to throw away years of friendship." The words surprised even him. Jake blinked, then shoved past, muttering under his breath. Isaiah appeared at Theo's side seconds later. "You okay?" Theo nodded, but his hands were shaking. That night, he and Isaiah texted for hours, silly memes mixed with deeper confessions. Theo learned Isaiah had lost his father young and moved with his mother for a fresh start. The connection felt easy, natural, like breathing after holding his breath for years. Midterms arrived, and Theo threw himself into studying, staying late in the library where Isaiah often joined him. One evening, as they packed up, Isaiah brushed Theo's hand, reaching for the same notebook. The touch lingered a second too long. Neither pulled away immediately. Outside, under the streetlights, Isaiah said softly, "I like spending time with you, Theo. A lot." Theo's pulse quickened. "Me too." They stood there, the air charged, until a car horn broke the moment. Driving home, Theo smiled at the rearview mirror, the first genuine smile in weeks. But the world was not done testing him. His mother found a supportive church group for parents and insisted he attend a youth meeting. The leader spoke kindly, but the other kids kept distance. One boy whispered loudly enough for Theo to hear, "I don't want to catch it." Theo left early, heart heavy. At home, he argued with his father, who still struggled to say the word gay without flinching. "I'm trying, son," his father said, voice rough. "Give me time." Theo wanted to believe him, but the gap felt wide. Isaiah became his anchor. They started meeting after school at the Overlook, talking about everything and nothing. Isaiah shared sketches of a mobile app he wanted to build for LGBTQ youth to connect safely. Theo offered ideas from his own experience, and slowly their conversations turned to dreams of leaving this town together someday. One crisp afternoon, Isaiah reached over and took Theo's hand. "This okay?" Theo squeezed back, warmth spreading through him like sunlight. For the first time, the word future felt possible. Yet school remained a minefield. A group of girls started a petition to remove him from the honor society, claiming moral concerns. The administration dismissed it, but the damage was done. Theo's grades stayed high, but his spirit took hits daily. Isaiah reminded him every small victory mattered. "They can't take your mind or your heart," he said one night over the phone. Theo fell asleep with those words echoing like a promise. The semester ended with a winter formal. Theo had no intention of attending until Isaiah suggested they go together as friends. No pressure, just two guys supporting each other. Theo agreed, nervous but excited. The night of the dance, his mother helped him pick a simple black suit, tears in her eyes. "You look handsome." At the gym, transformed with lights and music, they stayed on the edge of the crowd, but when a slow song played, Isaiah extended his hand. They danced, not touching too much, but close enough that Theo felt the world tilt toward hope. Whispers followed them, but for once he did not care. In the parking lot afterward, Isaiah kissed his cheek quick and soft. "Best night I've had in a long time." Theo drove home, floating, the sting of the day's isolation fading under the glow of that single moment. Graduation loomed like both threat and promise. Theo's acceptance letter to Stanford arrived on a rainy Tuesday, and for a brief moment the house filled with genuine celebration. His father clapped him on the back harder than usual. "Proud of you, son. Real proud." The words meant everything, even if they still danced around the bigger truth. Isaiah had been accepted to the same university art program, and the two spent evenings planning dorm strategies and road trips. Their relationship deepened in stolen hours at the Overlook, where kisses grew longer and more certain. Yet both agreed to keep it quiet for now. Theo had learned the cost of exposure. The final weeks of senior year brought one last wave of cruelty. Someone spray-painted slurs on Theo's locker. The janitor cleaned it quickly, but the photo circulated online. Theo's mother cried in the kitchen. His father drove to the school demanding action. Nothing changed, the damage was internal. Isaiah held him that night in the car, tears mixing with rain on the windshield. "We're leaving soon. This town doesn't get to define us." Theo nodded, but the wound lingered. Graduation day arrived hot and bright. Theo walked across the stage to scattered applause, mostly from teachers and a few brave classmates. Isaiah cheered loud enough for both of them. Afterward, at the small gathering his parents hosted, Isaiah met the family for the first time. His mother hugged him warmly, sensing the importance. His father shook Isaiah's hand a little too firmly, but said nothing unkind. Later, Theo and Isaiah escaped to their Overlook, sharing a quiet toast with soda cans. "To new beginnings," Isaiah whispered before kissing him properly under the stars. Theo felt the future open wide. Summer flew in a blur of packing and part-time jobs. Theo worked at a local coffee shop where the owner, a kind older woman, treated him like any other kid. Isaiah helped his mother with moving logistics. Their stolen moments grew more intimate, yet always respectful, full of whispered dreams and gentle touches. One August night before they left, Theo finally said the words he had practiced in his head. "I love you, Isaiah." Isaiah's smile could have lit the whole town. "I love you too, Theo. Always have." They held each other until dawn, breaking only when the first birds sang. College orientation in Palo Alto felt like stepping onto another planet. The campus buzzed with possibility. Theo threw himself into computer science classes, discovering a talent for coding that surprised even him. Isaiah flourished in design studios, creating pieces that spoke of identity and belonging. They roomed in different dorms at first, but spent every free hour together, exploring San Francisco on weekends, walking hand in hand along the Embarcadero without fear for the first time. The city embraced them, rainbow flags and open smiles everywhere. Theo felt himself unfurl like a flower after long winter. Yet old shadows followed. During Thanksgiving break back home, his father's brother visited and made pointed comments about lifestyle choices. Theo left the table early, Isaiah following. In the backyard, Isaiah reminded him, "We choose our family now too." The words stuck. Back at school, Theo joined the LGBTQ Alliance, where he met mentors who had built careers despite similar beginnings. One speaker, a tech CEO, shared his journey, and Theo felt a spark ignite. Maybe he could build something that mattered. Midway through freshman year, Isaiah's mother fell ill, and he flew home for weeks. Theo struggled with the separation, throwing himself into a group project that became the seed of an idea, an app for mental health support tailored for queer youth. Late nights in the library, he coded prototypes, texting Isaiah updates. When Isaiah returned, they celebrated with a picnic in the hills above campus. Lying on a blanket under oak trees, Isaiah traced patterns on Theo's arm. "You're going to change lives with this, you know." Theo believed him for the first time. Challenges came in waves. A professor made a careless joke in lecture that left Theo shaken. A roommate asked too many invasive questions. But each time Isaiah was there steady and sure. Their love grew through small acts, late-night study sessions, shared playlists, and quiet affirmations. Theo learned to voice his fears instead of burying them. Isaiah learned to lean on Theo during his own moments of doubt about his art career. Together they became stronger than either had been alone. By the end of sophomore year, Theo's app prototype won a university innovation contest. The prize money funded further development, and suddenly investors were emailing. Isaiah designed the sleek interface, turning Theo's vision into something beautiful. They spent spring break in a borrowed apartment, refining code and dreaming bigger. One evening after a breakthrough, Isaiah pulled Theo close on the tiny balcony. "Whatever happens next, we face it together." Theo kissed him deeply, the city lights twinkling below like stars they had finally reached. The boy who had been shunned in a Texas hallway was becoming the man who would build bridges for others. But the road ahead held tests neither could yet imagine. Junior year brought the first real taste of external success and its complications. Theo's app Echo launched quietly on campus, and within weeks downloads skyrocketed. Students shared stories in the comments, how the anonymous chat feature had saved someone from a dark night, how the resource maps had connected them to safe spaces. Theo and Isaiah celebrated with cheap pizza in their new off-campus apartment, watching the numbers climb on Theo's laptop. Isaiah's designs earned gallery attention and a small exhibit in San Francisco. Life felt golden, yet cracks appeared. Theo's growing schedule meant late nights and canceled plans. Isaiah never complained, but Theo noticed the tired lines around his eyes. One weekend, Isaiah had planned a surprise trip to Big Sur, only for Theo to stay glued to his screen finalizing investor meetings. "It's important," Theo said, defensive. Isaiah nodded. "So are we." The words stung because they were true. They talked late into the night, promising balance, but the pull of ambition proved stronger than either expected. Family dynamics shifted too. Theo's mother visited campus and met Isaiah properly this time. She hugged him tight, whispering, "Thank you for loving my boy." His father called more often, awkward but trying, asking about the app, even offering construction advice for the startup office they dreamed of. Yet when Theo mentioned moving in together permanently, his father grew quiet. "Just be careful, son." The conditional acceptance still hurt. Isaiah's mother recovered slowly, and they flew home together for Christmas. The small Chicago apartment felt warm. Isaiah's extended family embraced Theo without question. For the first time, Theo experienced holidays without hiding, and the contrast made returning to his own family harder. The first major betrayal came from an unexpected source. A former high school classmate, Jake, now at a rival university, reached out on LinkedIn praising the app and offering to connect Theo with potential partners. Flattered, Theo agreed to a video call. Jake seemed changed, apologetic even. "I was an idiot back then. Proud of what you're doing." They met for coffee during a conference in Chicago. Jake asked detailed questions about the code and user data. Weeks later, a similar app launched from a new startup with suspiciously familiar features. Theo's team scrambled to prove originality, but the damage to momentum was real. Isaiah held him through the rage and tears. "This is not your fault. We fight smarter." The incident taught Theo caution and the painful lesson that past wounds could reopen without warning. Amid the chaos, their relationship faced its deepest test. Isaiah received an offer to study abroad in Berlin for a prestigious design program. The opportunity was once in a lifetime, yet it meant 6 months apart. Theo encouraged him to go, but inside panic bloomed. Late one night, after too much coffee, Theo snapped, "You're leaving just when everything is happening for me." Isaiah's face crumpled. "I supported your dreams, Theo. I need you to support mine." They argued, then cried, then held each other, promising the distance would not break them. At the airport, Isaiah kissed him fiercely. "Come visit. We'll make it work." Watching the plane take off, Theo felt the old loneliness creep back, but this time he chose action. He threw himself into expanding Echo, adding features Isaiah had suggested and hiring a small team. Success accelerated. Echo secured seed funding and moved into a real office in downtown Palo Alto. Theo worked 18-hour days interviewing candidates, negotiating deals. The app now helped thousands, connecting users to counselors' hotlines and community events. Media outlets called him a rising star in social impact tech. Yet the pressure mounted. Board members suggested toning down the queer focus for broader appeal. Theo refused, sparking heated meetings. Isaiah called from Berlin every evening, sharing stories of European galleries and late-night trains. Their conversations kept Theo grounded, but the physical absence created a quiet ache. One breakthrough moment came during a TEDx talk Theo gave on campus. Standing on stage, he spoke openly about the hallway that had once broken him and the love that had rebuilt him. The audience included his mother, who had flown in secretly. Her tears in the front row healed something deep. Afterward, she hugged him tight. "Your father watched the live stream. He cried too. Small steps, but they mattered." Isaiah watched the recording later, FaceTiming with pride shining in his eyes. "You were incredible. I miss you so much." Theo whispered back, "Not as much as I miss you." The separation tested every promise but also strengthened their foundation. Theo learned to delegate. Isaiah learned to trust the process. When Isaiah returned just before Thanksgiving, they met at the airport, and the embrace felt like coming home after war. That night in their apartment, they talked for hours, then loved, slowly reaffirming every vow. The app continued growing, valuation climbing, but Theo made a deliberate choice to block out evenings for Isaiah. Balance was hard-won but real. Yet larger forces loomed: investors pushing for faster growth, competitors circling, and the looming question of how to scale without losing the heart that started it all. Theo stood at the edge of something massive, and for the first time he felt ready. Senior year blurred into a whirlwind of launches and life decisions. Echo reached 1 million users the same week Theo and Isaiah graduated. The ceremony felt surreal, caps flying as families cheered. Theo's parents attended together, his father shaking Isaiah's hand with genuine warmth this time. "You've been good for him," he said gruffly. Isaiah smiled. "He's been good for me too." The four of them shared dinner afterward, laughter flowing easier than ever. Healing was not linear, but it was happening. Post-graduation, the company exploded. Theo became CEO at 22, leading a team of 30 in a sleek South of Market office. Isaiah joined as creative director, his designs featured in every update. Their days filled with strategy sessions, investor pitches, and late strategy dinners. Success brought new pressures: paparazzi at launch parties, questions about their relationship in interviews. Theo handled them with quiet dignity. "Love is love, and it fuels everything we build." Isaiah stood beside him, steady and proud. Yet the past refused to stay buried. A reunion invitation arrived for their 5-year high school class gathering. Theo almost deleted it, but Isaiah encouraged him to go. "Show them who you became, not what they tried to break." They flew to Texas together, nerves tight. The venue, a decorated gym, smelled of nostalgia and cheap cologne. Whispers followed them as they entered. Jake stood near the punch bowl, face paling when he saw Theo. Old classmates stared, some approached awkwardly, offering congratulations that felt years too late. One girl who had signed the petition hugged him, tears in her eyes. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know better." Theo accepted the apologies without bitterness, but the encounters drained him. During the slideshow of old photos, Isaiah squeezed his hand. When the lights came up, Theo was asked to speak. He kept it brief. "High school taught me resilience. The people who stand by you in darkness are the ones who matter. I'm grateful for every lesson." Applause was polite but genuine. Afterward, Jake pulled him aside outside under string lights. "I was scared, Theo. Of myself, maybe. I'm sorry for the pain I caused." Theo studied him, seeing the same fear he once carried. "Apology accepted. Live better now." They shook hands and Theo walked away lighter. Isaiah waited by the car, smiling. "Proud of you." The flight home felt like closing a chapter. Company growth brought fresh conflicts. A major investor demanded they remove certain community features to attract conservative funding. Theo refused, sparking a boardroom battle that lasted weeks. Isaiah supported him publicly but privately worried about the financial risk. Your vision is what built this, Theo. Don't lose it. Tensions peaked during a late-night argument when Theo snapped under pressure. Isaiah left for the night, returning at dawn with coffee and calm words. We fight for each other, not against. They reconciled, emerging stronger. Theo won the battle, keeping the app's heart intact, and the company thrived anyway. Personal milestones arrived. They bought a small house in the hills with a studio for Isaiah and an office for Theo. Family visits became regular, Theo's father helping build a deck one weekend, talking about life in ways he never had. Isaiah's mother moved closer for better care and integrated seamlessly. One quiet evening on their deck, overlooking the bay, Theo got down on one knee, simple ring in hand. Marry me, Isaiah. Build every tomorrow with me. Isaiah's yes came through happy tears. The proposal made local news, but they kept the wedding small, intimate, on the beach with closest friends and family. Vows spoken under a setting sun promised partnership through every storm. Success continued, but Theo never forgot the boy in the hallway. He started a foundation within ECHO, funding scholarships for LGBTQ students in tech. Isaiah's art series, Invisible Threads, exhibited nationally, telling stories like theirs. Life felt full, yet Theo sensed the need for deeper purpose. A late-night conversation revealed Isaiah's desire to mentor young artists. They began planning expansions, balancing ambition with the life they had fought to create. Challenges remained: investor doubts, market shifts, but together they navigated them with honesty and love. The man who had once been shunned now stood tall, not despite his past, but because of it. The company reached unicorn status the same year Theo turned 27. Headlines praised the gay tech visionary, but Theo focused on impact. ECHO now operated internationally, helping millions. Isaiah's creative leadership earned industry awards, and their home filled with laughter from adopted rescue dogs and weekend visits from nieces and nephews. Life was rich, yet Theo still carried quiet moments of reflection, especially when old classmates reached out on social media seeking connections or advice. He responded kindly, but never forgot the distance they had once enforced. Success had not erased the scars, but it had transformed them into strength. Pivotal board meeting tested everything. A buyout offer from a tech giant promised billions, but required rebranding away from the LGBTQ focus. Theo stood firm: we exist because the world needs spaces like this. Money cannot buy our soul. The board split. Isaiah spoke passionately from the creative side. In the end, they rejected the offer, and the stock dipped temporarily before rebounding stronger on principles alone. The victory felt sweeter than any valuation. That night, Theo and Isaiah danced in the living room to an old song celebrating not the money but the integrity. Family reconciliation reached its fullest expression when Theo's father flew out alone for a long weekend. They hiked the coastal trail, talking man to man. I was wrong about a lot of things, son. Seeing you and Isaiah together, it's taught me love is love. Tears came freely. Back home, his father joined the foundation board, volunteering construction skills for new community centers. Theo's mother beamed during video calls, planning future holidays together. Isaiah's family merged seamlessly, creating a chosen family that spanned states. One crisp autumn morning, Theo stood on the stage at a national conference, delivering the keynote. Behind him, a giant screen showed the app's journey from a dorm room idea to global force. He spoke of the hallway, the isolation, the love that saved him, and the responsibility to lift others. The audience rose in standing ovation, but Theo's eyes found Isaiah in the front row, smiling with tears. Afterward, they slipped away to a quiet rooftop garden, much like the one in their early dreams. Isaiah pulled him close under string lights. Look how far you've come. Theo kissed him softly. We came together. The city sparkled below, a testament to every choice, every sacrifice, every awakening. Years later, at their 10-year reunion, the gym felt smaller. Old faces had softened. Conversations flowed easier, some genuine friendships forming. Jake, now a teacher, brought his own husband and thanked Theo again for the example. The evening ended with laughter and promises to stay in touch. Driving away, Theo felt no triumph over others, only peace within himself. Success had not made the past disappear, but it had built a future bright enough to outshine the pain. Back home in their house filled with art and light, Theo and Isaiah sat on the deck watching the sunset. Dogs at their feet, hands intertwined. True or false? Theo asked with a gentle smile. Success can completely heal every scar from being rejected for who you are? Isaiah considered the question, then answered thoughtfully, false. But it can give you the strength to carry those scars with pride and help others do the same. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind earned through years of growth, love, and unwavering choice. The boy once shunned had become the man who refused to let anyone else stand alone in the hallway. And in that truth lay the real victory.